look, I feel really good about getting Kool-Aid. I think he's a really good player, highly intelligent, highly instinctual in terms of a player. Has shown the ability to play press coverage, can play outside. We feel like he can go inside and play inside in the nickel. So there's some versatility with that he can play with. Yeah, we really liked the player and felt like, getting him at that value was the right place to get him.
Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is, you said also related to.
No, look,
listen. Marshon Lattimore's status up in the air at all?
You can never have enough good corners in this league, and with the amount of man-to-man snaps that we play, it's a valuable position. And look, we've had to have our third or fourth corner play a ton of snaps for us the last couple of years. And I think the corner position has been one of the things that's been one of our better positions. It's allowed us to play defense the way that we like to play. So, look, I went into this draft thinking, I'd love to get a corner, to add some depth. We lost, Ike last year and through free agency. So, I felt like it was a place that we wanted to try to see if we could find somebody. Again, we weren't going to force anything, but there's a couple of players that were still on the board at the start of the second round that we had targets on that, if the value was right, we were looking to trade up, and Kool-Aid was certainly one of those players.
D.A., do you feel like, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but he was rated pretty high. Do you feel like he got first round value in the second round?
Well, look, it depends on who you ask, I guess. We feel like where we got this player, we thought it was really good value for us. So yeah, I thought there was a chance that he could go in the first round, and certainly when he was sitting there, to start the second round, and you're kind of watching it, the way the draft was going, and I felt like kind of the top half of that second round, you started to see some defensive tackles going off the board. You saw some corners going off the board. So early on in that, you just saw it was. Yesterday seemed like there was a lot of offensive guys obviously going off early in the draft, and I think the first part of the second round there was a little bit more defensive players going off.
He plays more on the outside, obviously. What are the traits that you see that make you think that he could be possibly a slot guy if needed?
Well, look, I think when you watch him play and you talk to the staff there, you see a highly intelligent and a highly instinctive football player. You see a guy that has the ability to fit in the run game and play physically. And so when you have somebody that's got the skill set, the coverage skills like he does on the outside, and then you combine that with the instincts and the intelligence, and you see the willingness in the run game and the physicality, that makes me think that he can play inside, even though and I think Coach Saban would say he could play inside.
Do you think he'll start? Do you think you'll start him in camp at inside or probably outside first? Or?
No, he'll play both. He'll train at both. So when we kind of look at these nickel positions, I kind of look at it as, hey, look, he's an outside corner that slides inside and plays, in the nickel. You kind of got to give him a home, and so I think from a corner's perspective, you kind of always got to look at him as starting outside and then moving inside.
I haven't watched a ton of him yet, but the first couple scouting reports I said both said something to the effect of he's a lot more. He's not super aggressive in attacking. He's more like controlled and almost it like plays it intelligent instead of gambling kind of. I mean, does that sound accurate? And is there something to a
Look,
style that you see?
well, so he plays a ton of press man. And so, when you think of attacking or whatever, you kind of think of the guy that's going to sit off, eyes on the quarterback, jump a route, those types of things. Well, he's not in those positions very often because more times than not, he's up in press coverage. And there's a lot of times he's playing, ultimately with his back to the ball. But there again, there's another aspect that I like in that, there's not a lot of panic in his game down the field. And he can play the ball, with his back to the ball and the ball above his head. I mean, I think those are things that he does well.
Yeah, how do you see that kind of composure play out in his game?
Well, look, I mean, I'm not sure I totally understand the question. I mean, he's a really smooth athlete. He doesn't panic. He's got confidence in himself and in his ball skills to be able to play the football. And so there's a return value to this player. It's something that he has done. So there's just a lot of things that I think he does really well. I think he's just a really good football player. And, he's a tool that I think we'll be able to utilize in a lot of different ways.
Dennis, was cornerback a position you guys were targeting, or was he just a guy that you really liked?
Yeah, well, look, I think we go into most drafts looking to, see if we can add a corner. I don't think you can ever have too many of those guys. As I was saying a little bit earlier, look, our third and fourth and fifth corners really have played a lot of snaps for us the last couple of years. And the way that we play, it's a valuable position to us. It's something that we really we value a lot. And but yet I didn't feel like we needed to force a pick. But I felt like there was a player there that we really liked, that I wasn't sure was going to be there. And as he kept kind of sliding down the board a little bit, we had enough ammunition to go get him.
At what point did he become realistic? Like, at what point did you really start saying, let's go get him? Was it 35, 37?
Yeah, I think, look, for the value, I don't remember the exact number, but I think that number was probably somewhere around 36, 38, somewhere in there where we felt like, okay, we got a chance maybe to, try to move up. I mean, I think we had contact with, a handful of teams, and we were finally able to make a deal that made sense, and we were able to go up and get him.
Did the run on receivers influence that at all too?
Yeah, I think at that point in time, there was a few defensive players that we had better grades on than some of the receivers that were available.
Dennis, guys are always going to fall. What positions have depth on the third day tomorrow?
That's a good question. It seems to me like, when you think, offensively, they've hit those positions. At one point, I had counted, 15 offensive tackles and 15 wide receivers that have, gone. And typically, there's probably somewhere around 20 to 25 that go total in the draft in those positions. So I think those positions have been hit pretty good. Look, we'll go back and check the board and see exactly where, everybody is. I think at the end of every night, beginning of every day, you're kind of reorganizing a little bit, because there's a lot that goes on throughout the course of the draft. So, without getting into all the specifics.
Is there still a lot of depth there?
Well, look, there's still some players that are available. And but yeah, I think there's been 15 or 16 of them that, come off the board, and typically there's 20 to 25 that get drafted. So I would say that, you're kind of getting down the list a little bit.
Dennis, was there an attempt made by y'all at all yesterday to move up for a quarterback?
No.
So was that position ever on the table, or?
It was never discussed that we would move up for a quarterback. I think anytime, if there's a quarterback that you think has a chance to be, your future quarterback, then I think it's always something that you're going to consider. But I'd heard that report. It was brought to my attention last night, but there was zero effort on our part to move up for a quarterback. There's always discussions about trading up or trading back, but none of those were in an attempt to get a quarterback.
It's got to be a position where I'm sure you go into every draft trying to be open-minded to any position, but is that the one position where it's kind of an outlier from everything else, just with the weight of it, because it's so important and.
Well,
That
yeah.
question even makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get the question, Look, it's the most important position on the field. Obviously, we feel good about the quarterbacks that we have. And yet, I think you're always looking to make sure you're, secure in your future. And so, but that was not a position that we targeted and said, hey, we got to move up and go try to get one of these guys. And it really wasn't a position that we were really considering at 14.
Dennis, was there any effort tonight to get back into the third round? Any kind of serious effort to get into the third round?
Not really. With what we have available to us right now, kind of without, getting into future picks and those types of things, it was just probably too expensive to try to get in there and do anything.
Was not trading away a future pick important to you?
Yeah, I think ultimately we weren't totally against it, but yeah, I don't think that was really something that we were really looking forward to doing. But if there was a player that was there that, that we really liked, that was valuable, we would have considered it.
But there was.
Not for what we would have had to give up to go get it.
I'm not sure how many like Nick Saban defensive backs you've coached in your time, but is there a benefit to taking a guy who comes from that coach?
Well, here's what I know. I know that he's been coached really hard.
Yeah.
And I know that he's been around a lot of good football, and a lot of smart football. And so, look, you value those things. And look, I think when you're able to get a guy from a program like Alabama and a big school that's played really good football at a high level against high competition, I think that adds some weight to what you're getting.
Coach had mentioned that the conversations with the combine went really well, and he came away from it feeling like the interest was legitimate. Was that kind of echoed on y'all's side as well?
Yeah. So we had some good conversations at the combine and had a kind of a off the not really the interview, but we just happened to see him in the hallway as we were walking back to the hotel, and got a chance to have a 5 or 10 minute conversation, casual conversation with him, and I thought that was it was a good conversation, and I think I know myself, Mickey, I believe Jeff and Michael Parrington, maybe Kai, we were all probably there together, and I think we all kind of came away with a positive view of the player.
Was there anything specific about that conversation that kind of led to that?
No, I just think it was just a casual, conversation.
How does that?
We know that wasn't an accident. We spend the whole time in Indianapolis trying to accidentally.
I was just trying to make it to the hotel.
That's what I'm gonna say next time.
Yeah.
How does that work though? Do you have to like introduce yourselves? Like, does he know who you guys are?
We actually had met with him, I think, earlier that night, so we kind of knew he knew who we were and we knew who he was.
Regardless of this pick, where do things stand with Marshon Lattimore? Have you guys talked? I mean, does he seem on board?
No, I haven't talked to him in a while. Look, I know he had a conversation with Matt Ray the other day about some. He's not in the building now, but he had a conversation with Matt Ray about sending him some workout stuff, and that's never been something that you really worried too much about him. He's usually come back in pretty good shape. And look, quite honestly, last year in the training camp, I thought he had one of his better training camps. So, look, Marshon's part of our team. He's been a valuable part of our team, and we're looking forward to him being a part of our team.
Has anyone else not made it to the building yet for the start of the offseason program?
Yeah, there's a handful of guys that haven't been here for various reasons. Some personal choice, some family reasons, things of that nature. So, look, it's not 100%, but it's pretty damn good turnout, and we've had a good first couple of weeks of the off-season program, and we start with kind of some football meetings and things of that nature starting next week. So we'll start ramping the football part of it up.
Is Kool-Aid's foot injury anything that could sign him through like the spring?
Yeah, I don't anticipate him being able to do a whole lot this spring. I think he's probably we're probably looking more towards sometime in June that he's really going to get cleared, and I think we'll be a little cautious with that this spring. Nothing that's going to cause any concern going into training camp.
People are going to read into the you haven't talked to Marshon in a while. Is that abnormal to maybe go through part of the offseason without contacting a player?
No, not. I wouldn't say. I mean, Marshon's one that we haven't had a lot of contact with anyway. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that this is anything, abnormal. He's I'm sure back in Cleveland getting himself ready to go. He'll come back in shape, and then he'll be ready to go when we're ready to start up.
So it's typical with this player and kind of how he interacts.
There's nothing that's been out of the abnormal.
Have you guys made a decision on Peyton Turner's fifth-year option yet?
I don't think we've come to a conclusion on that yet. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dennis.